Solcers, today we're joined by Dave Sheedy from Flights2 Game and Hobby Shop in Albany, New York. Dave, thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, there's a lot we want to talk about here, and I know you've got two big events, which is the main thing we want to talk about, two big sorcery events on March 16th and April 20th. Well, before we get into that, you've been a longtime supporter of sorcery. What initially grabbed you about the game?
I was in on the ground floor, and I have a lot of friends that are artists, and I was in Magic originally when Alpha came out, and been around playtest cards, and all of a sudden one day I got wind of this project, and somebody says, "Hey, this might be really up your alley." I said, "What is it?" And it was somebody who was in a very high-end Magic the Gathering collectible graded group of like fancy pants of cardboard, of like normal levels of cardboard that people don't even afford to have. They have black level labels and gold labels and tens all galore. And Eric actually is in the group, so not to spoil it, but he's actually in the group because he has a huge graded collection of stuff. And somebody's like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Well, what is it?" And I'm like, "Well, there's actually somebody in the chat here who really knows a lot about it." And then they're like, "I'm like, who?" And they're like, "This guy." And they pointed to Eric, and I was like, "Oh, that's Eric's new game. All right, cool. The Curiosa games I heard about." Like, yeah. And then I started seeing some of the little pieces of the gameplay being laid out and some of the artwork. And I'm a huge, as an artist myself, from like I do sculpture and toy design, and I can't draw or paint on 2 dimensions, but I can do 3-dimensional really well. I'm awesome with a roller for walls if anybody needs that done for their houses or ceilings. But miniatures and stuff, I'm great with that. And as an artist, one of the most iconic things for the card games when I got into them as a kid, and I say kid, like, decades ago, it was the artwork. And when it was hand painted, it was iconic. You knew what a Shivan dragon was from across the room without even knowing the name. You saw that artwork, you knew what it was, or Crystal Rod, or what. And sorcery has that feel to it, and it has that draw of really, really nice hand painted artwork. No AI, no these super busy scenes of it. It has that raw, natural feel to it, and I was hooked. I saw it. I was like, okay. And somebody says, "Well, how's the gameplay?" I was like, something like chess with Stratego and Magic at the same time. I go, "That's interesting. Okay, I'm in. Let's go. How do I do this?" And then the Kickstarter came to be announced, and so I was in on the ground floor as an innkeeper, and we weren't even officially started up with Flights 2 yet because it was still the pandemic and things are transitioning. So I personally ponied up like 10 grand worth of money in my own funds to be like, "Let's do this." And so I did, and I'm really, really happy I did because I think it's a phenomenal game. The artwork speaks for itself. The community has been phenomenal. I don't even know what I can say other than
I feel like this is a game like made for you too. Like you're someone who's been seeped in the history of TCGs. And can you maybe talk a little about your store? That's got a long legacy as well.
Yep. It originally was 1993 October. Maria Perry opened it, and it was called Flights of Fantasy. We are the longest standing brick and mortar game store in Albany, New York, in the capital region. There's a couple other ones that have been around and come and gone, but as far as it being just specifically gaming, we've been here the longest. There's a couple comic book stores that actually have been around that kind of time frame also, but specifically just for gaming, we were kind of it. And
what people can't see is that before we started recording, you were setting up, and it's a weeknight, and your store is packed already.
Yeah,
filled with players.
Real quick, I can give people real quick teaser in that. All sorts of stuff here: role playing games, D&D, RC cars, helicopters, and playroom, and all of our local nerds here, and our frequent players. So yeah, it's a busy. It's a busy place, so if there's too much background noise, I apologize.
No, you can't apologize for people having fun, playing with cards. So
exactly, and a lot of places they value how successful they are by the amount of money they have in a drawer. I value how busy we are by the amount of laughter and smiles they get from people coming
That's
in the
good.
show.
That's something we share in common then, because I trade in laughter and smiles too.
Yep. And snacks too. Like, who doesn't love snacks?
And snacks are key. Snacks are key. You've got 2 events coming up now. You're running 2 Courtesan Cup qualifier events.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the events you're going to be hosting in your store, and why people should make the trip if they're not local to head on up to Albany and get a game at your store?
So we were a non-try-hard, no salt allowed competitive environment where you can show up and it's clothing optional. Oh
dear.
No, kidding. Seriously, clothing optional. We have a lot of fun here, and we focus on the fact of being camaraderie through the games that we play and making sure that it's a sense of community. And it's the sorcery itself. It's so intricate with different ways of it being played and not everybody really knowing the rules, because there is a lot of gray area to it because it's so new. I felt that it was time to, and we had a alpha premiere here, and we had Jeff Menge in here for doing autographs. We have a lot of original pieces of artwork and stuff, and we're giving away some cool prizes. And for the April 20th, there might, maybe, possibly, not going to give any spoilers, but there might possibly, seriously, with 100% chance of meatballs and spaghetti, have an artist in the shop for the event also signing autographs and paintings and things. Wow. So we got some really cool stuff. We're just the store promo cards. We made something really special with Marta Molina, a custom artwork. I can actually show you on a play mat here real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Does everybody... It looks, and I was worried. I got the original artwork for this, and I was worried when I blew up to the play mat that it was not going to look as good. And this is absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So she's so talented.
Yeah. So these were
the anti-pristine paradise.
Yes. So everything is super sunny and colorful and happy with her. And then there's this dark part of her soul, and she's like, "It's Quagmire." And I didn't even know the card was called Quagmire. Just when I got it in the painting, I'm like, "Oh, there's no name for the painting? Quagmire." And then, like, of course, so I find out there's actually a card named Quagmire in the game, and I'm like, well, that's ruined now. So it's an alternate art that we just had something cool we made just for our shop. We did 100 of them for people to come in. That anybody who comes in and plays or wins a tournament, that's like kind of like a special prize, just saying, hey, thank you for coming to one of the premier shops in Albany area where Sorcery, nobody even carried it, nobody even knew what it was, and all the other store owners came to me and said, what is this? What? I'm like, well, come to the king who's in on the ground floor. And I said,
right. Who's crazy now, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for championing sorcery in that area as well. You know, it's really, we're so appreciative of all the legwork that stores do that really, you know, kind of do it right, where they not only get into the product, but they're also working to build the community. And, and there's lots of ways to play sorcery. I know we want to really encourage kitchen table play, but also having events in stores like this that can be competitive. And, you know, sometimes that word gets thrown around and has some maybe negative connotation, right? But competitive doesn't need to mean like win at all costs, right?
Correct.
You can get together and test your skill.
You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be obnoxious to each other. You just play the game and say, hey, good game. You know, sit down like, oh, what's your name? Oh, my name is Billy Bobob, and this is my first game ever. I don't know how to play. I just bought the starter deck, and this seemed fun. So, and we've had people do that, and they actually won tournaments of other games before. And it's just amazing. Cool.
Yeah. Well, so we're looking at March 16th, which is this coming weekend. So if folks are in the area, you know, make sure you come on by. And that starts at noon, if I'm not mistaken.
Noon for registration, and then we're going to try to get it kicked off at 1 o'clock as official first round.
And then if for some reason you stumbled across this and you're like, oh, man, I missed the one on the 16th, this following month in April, the 20th, that'll be a second chance to get in there. And now these are both part of the larger fan-run Courtesan Cup series, right?
Ron's Cup series, yes. Yep. He's done a great job with it so far. And as soon as I heard about it through Mike, and I says, Mike, what is this deal? And he's like, oh, he's just right up your alley. Check it out. And I'm like, all right. I said, so I contacted the guy and he set it up. And so Mike Sorcery, thank you very much for that with the Art House group. And it's been rolling ever since then. And it felt like it was the point. He says, Ron says, he's like, well, you can't really spoiler it yet. We gotta make sure we have everything in there. How am I going to tell? It's 2 weeks away. How am I going to tell people that? So that's why I reached out to you guys and said, can we somehow talk
Let's
about this.
do it.
Word
Let's
out
get it going. We'll get
It's
you
not
out
reach.
there.
Reach.
And it's everybody's working together, right? We need the support of the community, and we're here to help support people as well. So
This is very grassroots. It's very organic, and it's spread by word of mouth and by people seeing it. I had a game night that was here, and there was 2 people that were sitting here playing, and that the 10 other people who were playing a different game ended up stopping what they were doing and gathering around the table watching the sorcery game because it was that riveting.
yeah, and the other big thing is it's a lot of times you can be judged by the company you keep, right? And so it's
Exactly.
so helpful to have people that are running events that are such ambassadors, but maybe that's kind of an overused word, but are just such a good representation. Champions, that's the way to go. Champions that are not only the champion of the game and talking about it, but also representing themselves so well that other people want to be around them. They want to be a part of those communities, and they want to participate. So,
Exactly.
So thank you so much. And thank you for people that are watching. If you are one of our champions out in other communities, thank you so much. And if you're nearby, I mean, it's not that long of a drive. It's a straight shot to Albany from a lot of places. You get on the highway. I forget, what is that, 87? No, that's
87 north. You go I-90 east and west. You can come from Boston. You're down from Montreal. It's 4 hours from Montreal. If you're a fast driver, it's 2 hours, but most people it's 4.
Yeah. Once again, Eric's Curiosa does not.
Yeah. We don't see any good limit. But I only speak it because I had a guy who's just opened a brand new store up in Montreal, and he came down from his family coming from a trip from Florida. He went down to Disneyland and that, and he actually made it a point to stop by our shop, and he was blown away by what our selection and everything was that we had here. And he says, I'm going home happy. He says, because I found like the best shop I've ever seen. So, and that's really nice hearing it from other people in the industry who come through and say, this is amazing. And I, at some point, want to have that with the sorcery people that come through on vacation and they type in a local game store near me as they're GPSing, driving through, Albany. And this is the Mecca destination for them to come to and play and pay homage.
And you keep doing the good work you're doing, and thank you so much for championing sorcery, and then putting on these events, and then working with artists to help make your events like truly unique and special.
Absolutely.
And so, folks, make sure you check out Flights2 Games and Hobby Shop in Albany, New York. What's the best way to find your store on socials? Is that, would you say Facebook or website?
So you can do Flights2 Game Store at gmail.com or just Flights2. If you type it in, just like it's written on the screen here, it's Flights2. And then you do Flights2 Game Store. If you put Flights and then space 2 on there, you're going to get airline tickets and all sorts of stuff.
Flights to game stores. Hey,
Yeah. And, so that doesn't work so well. But we're on Facebook. We have Instagram. We have a YouTube channel also, Flights2. And once you hit it on Google, you'll find all the links for it there. And then obviously 381 Sand Creek Road right here in the heart of the capital region. And I'm really, really happy that we're doing what we're doing and we're doing well. And especially after a pandemic of people being so separate and isolated, it's awesome. Like as you can hear in the background, it's loud, it's obnoxious, but it's
fun.
It's what excitement is about, and that's really what sorcery is. And I'm looking forward to streaming on Saturday even and getting some actual play footage and that from people and that. And
excellent.
I already have people that said they're coming from Massachusetts, they're coming from New York City, and some from Western New York and Pennsylvania. So the word's getting out there, and I think it's going to be a successful event.
Well, thank you so much for championing and helping spread the word.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Make sure to check out Flights2 Game Store, and in the meantime, good luck contesting the realm.